locating it, they already had a very legitimate informant.
Very, very interesting. An article that you had written in Tughlaq, sir, an article appearing in Tughlaq, was translated by Dr. Padma Subrahmanyam, well-known dancer. She wrote it up in a letter and sent it to the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
And that was, that is what triggered this entire chain of events. Tell us how that happened, sir.
You see, when I read these news items, I sourced it in a private conversation which the Kanchi Paramacharya had with his disciples on the Independence Day in 1978. And he was telling them that such an event took place, this is how it happened, Rajaji's role, and how Pandit Nehru was asked by Mountbatten what is the ritual or the symbolism by which you will assume power, because we have certain symbolism. What is your symbolism? And all this is explained in detail by the Kanchi Paramacharya in that private conversation, which had come out much later in a book form. Of course, it had been properly noted by his disciple. And it was so meticulously explained. I got interested in that and I thought that it must be made public. So by that time some news items had also appeared, and we had also found in the Tiruvadure Adinam premises that the Senghol was handed, they had certain documents, they had photographs, and these photographs appeared with Jawaharlal Nehru holding all that. Then I found this is a very, very verified and a credible report. And so I wrote it in the Tughlaq, a very detailed article as to how it happened, referring to the Kanchi Paramacharya and the different media reports. Padma Subrahmanyam, who regularly reads the Tughlaq, she rang me up and said, Guru, you should not stop with just writing this article, and I will translate it into English, and I want to write a letter to the Prime Minister, and can you please send it to the Prime Minister on my behalf. In fact, actually it was sent from my mail ID, but the letter was written by her, and I sent it to the Prime Minister. Her request was that in the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav Ka period, this great event that took place must be made public. The people of India should be aware of it, and that this Senghol, which was symbolism agreed to by both governments. It's some kind of a protocol. It was not a private ceremony. And so this must find a place in our, at the time Parliament of Asca was not in the picture. She said, her request to the Prime Minister was, this must be properly recalled and projected and presented to the people of India.
Because, Mr. Gurumurthy, the sense that most people had yesterday when the Home Minister mentioned the Senghol in his press conference, most people were wondering, what is Senghol? We have never heard of this. And, over the next few hours, the entire country is talking about the Senghol. For the people of Tamil Nadu, you and, those who are well informed, who've read Tamil literature especially, know what the Senghol is. I have to admit that even I was ignorant of this, sir, despite, being born and brought up in Tamil Nadu. But the fact that something of such significance, that came to the limelight during such a significant day of India's history, could have receded so far away from the public eye and public knowledge is also an element of some note and some surprise, sir.
It is to me no surprise, because the way our polity took a turn, there was an attempt to undo the past. Anything connected to the past is a problem for future. And so, for every country, the future will be uncertain. For us, the past became uncertain. What we were in the past, what we did in the past, better not recall these things. In this tsunami of undoing the past, the Senghol also disappeared. This is the simplest explanation I will give. I am not giving any very conflicting or extremely volatile explanation. I am just giving a simple explanation. We wanted to do away with the past. And one of the things that was consumed in this was the Senghol. But if you want me to tell something about the Senghol, I will. But the Senghol has a very high value in the Indian tradition. It figures in Ramayana, it figures in Mahabharata, it is in Silappatikaram. Thiruvalluvar, who is accepted by all the religions of Tamil Nadu, if not elsewhere, he has written 10 verses about Senghol.
Yes.
And Senghol is very highly regarded as symbolism of not the king, but a higher value, which is called Aram in Tamil Nadu. It is translated into Dharma. And when the word Dharma is used, there is a problem. But the Supreme Court has very clearly distinguished between Dharma and religion. Dharma is independent of religion. It connotes values. It doesn't signify faith at all. In fact, we have 3 traditions in our darshanas which do not believe in God, external God at all, but they believe in the idea of dharma. So we mixed dharma and religion and got into an eternal confusion. Our constitution also speaks about dharma nirapekshata in the Hindi translation, which is very, very wrong. Sooner it is corrected, the better.
Mr. Gurumurthy, most people who have been watching the story of the Senghol, are surprised, they're delighted that, something that they'd never heard about is going to, find a pride of place in our new parliament. There are some voices saying that this is a relic of India's, past when there was a monarchy, and such items have no place in a seat of parliament and a seat of democracy. How would you address people with that kind of view, sir?
I think if you look at the first constitution, which was signed by all the constituent assembly members, it starts with a Yagashala. Fundamental rights chapter starts with the return of Rama to Ayodhya. It talks about Ashoka, it talks about Chhatrapati Shivaji, it talks about, this is a connect. Our constitution is an attempt to reconcile the past with the present. It is not to ignore the past. In fact, if you look at Article 29 and 30, it is not there in any other civilization except Indian civilization, because when Article 29 and 30 was not there, the Indian civilization protected the Jews and the Parsis. It is never heard of in the world. So Article 29 and 30 is a product of Indian civilization.
Yes.
It is not a product of Westphalian democracy. So we are not even taught about what is the source of our constitutional provisions. For example, there is a provision in the constitution which says you must protect the cow, you must protect animals. This is nowhere in any constitution of the world. This thought came much later in 2001 when Biodiversity Convention was adopted by the United Nations. And our government emblem is Satyameva Jayate. See, please understand, where is the source of Satyameva Jayate?
Yeah.
So, I think to look at the past with a colored eye is perversion.
Do you think that this could be the beginning of a new kind of awakening, a new kind of thought process about, that specific thing you're talking about, Mr. Gurumurthy, about, the past does not pass. You can't cut yourself off from the past. And the Senghol in many ways, and its rebirth in some ways, its relocation to a place of much greater visibility, comes to symbolize and represent that sort of reawakening and recognition that the past is not something you can simply shut away?
It's as much a correction. We have gone the wrong way. It is not that this is a new awakening. Actually, it's a correction, course correction. We have got into serious problems by thinking the past is a burden. All over the world, there is a new thinking that is evolving in the last decade, that even the source of modernity, which was regarded as the enlightened movement in the West, is being discarded now. each nation, each civilization has its own way of self-renewal, and that is the modernization process.
Yes.
And there is no such discourse in India, and that means if that discourse is there, you will have to connect yourself to the past. The Indian discourse is actually, there is a sense of perversion and a sense of self-hate in it. And this Senghol event is a thumping recall of the past, which is associated with the present. That's the most important thing. Senghol connects you to a past of 1,000 years of the Chola rule and before.
Yes.
But it connects you to the present through the constitutional rule that evolved on 15th August 1947.
It's very interesting, Mr. Gurumurthy, how you mentioned, you suggest that the Senghol kind of disappeared in that tsunami of trying to, get away from the past and disconnect from the past right after independence. The Senghol itself was discovered, like you rightly said, in the Anand Bhavan Museum in Prayagraj, where the caption very interestingly says, golden walking stick given to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. What did you think of that? We asked the people from the Vumidi family also yesterday about the Senghol being described as a walking stick, and they said that they were quite surprised, that it had been described so. What did you think, sir?
You see, it is unfortunate that when such a high value symbol is being placed in the parliament, that such I don't think it was some decision taken at the highest level to, that it had come from the Prime Minister's house. And a fellow who doesn't know about any of these things, he thought it was a stick, and what is the best way to describe it is the walking stick.
Yeah.
I think a 5-foot tall the golden stick with a Nandi on the top with the inscriptions should be described like this. Shows the carelessness with which we handle the past. You see, we are just careless about it. We use very strong words. We use very strong words against our literature, against our forefathers, against our traditions. We are used to that. It has become a normal to abuse the Indian traditions. And in that atmosphere, if something like this happened, I will again attribute it to the same atmosphere. The tsunami of hate against our past is the reason why such a recent symbol has been described like this. And I feel very, very bad. And anyone who had done that should be called to account. And how the Senghol got transferred from when it was handed over to Pandit Nehru by the Shaivite saint on 14th August. It was not just it was handed over. 11 verses of the Tevaram was sung. And with the blessings of the divinity, you will rule. When such a thing was happened, who handled it from stage to stage, year to year, when it was deposited, who gave this inscription, this should be found out by an inquiry.
Okay, I wonder if that inquiry will actually happen. It's very interesting. What we know for sure is that the country and the world, after well over 70 years, will for their first time set their eyes on the Senghol for real, because it's going to be set right next to the Lok Sabha Speaker in the new Parliament. Mr. Gurumurthy, final question to you. I know you don't want to get into the politics of the day and what's happening, but among those who will not be able to regard the Senghol on day one when the Parliament is opened this Sunday is going to be virtually the entire opposition. 19 parties have said that they are going to boycott Parliament. It's a very significant and symbolic day, even beyond just the Senghol. I must have your thoughts on that, sir. What do you think of that?
You see, I feel that, of course, the boycott of the Parliament has been one of the ways the opposition has been protesting against the ruling party for a long time. In fact, I have had discussions with very top political leaders on this, and nobody is happy with this. Even the BJP, when it was in the opposition, it was not happy with that, but it was still doing it. I can understand the political compulsions which make you boycott politics when a bill is being presented or when somebody is talking, you walk out. But this is not one such occasion.
Yeah.
Where you may even understand boycotting parliament is a new normal in Indian democracy for the last 25-30 years. This is not an occasion in which this should be happening. There should be a line drawn that where this protest to the extent of boycotting, where it should not be. That line is not there. That wisdom is not there. That is not good for democracy. As much as the opposition says that the ruling party's conduct is not good for democracy,
Mr.
you are
Gurumurthy,
not drawing
yes.
the line between where you should be carrying on that protest. If you don't draw the line, then you are harming the very democracy which you are trying to protect. This is point one. Point two, at least the Senghol function should be separated from your parliament work, and the opposition should attend the Senghol function. The DMK party, after it came to power, it has presented a report to the Tamil Nadu Assembly in 2021 after Stalin took over that a symbolic presentation was made by the Tamil Nadu Adinam in the form of a Senghol. It recalled it with pride and it is part of the official records of the Assembly. So I feel the DMK owns it really. Why they are part of it, I cannot understand.
It's very interesting. You've given us a great deal to chew on and to think about over the next couple of days leading up to this big occasion. Personally, congratulations to you, Mr. Gurumurthy, because after all, even though I know you're a self-effacing man, you don't want to take any credit publicly, but it is your article that set off this chain of events that will finally result in the unveiling of the Senghol in a much more visible spot, not in a Prayagraj museum, but in India's new parliament. What could be better than that and more befitting an ornament that was part of India's day one of independence? Thank you very much, Mr. Gurumurthy, for speaking to India Today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And we've got some more breaking news. This story continues to unfold. Politics over the new parliament. We've got some breaking news coming in. And India Today has now accessed the new Parliament inauguration program. We've got the whole schedule. Let's list it out for you. It's on the 28th of May, that's this Sunday. The Prime Minister will be inaugurating the new Lok Sabha. Between 7:30 and 8:30 a.m., there is a Havan and Puja. Many ministers, including Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Om Birla, the Lok Sabha Speaker, the Rajya Sabha Deputy Chairman will be there. The Senghol that we've been talking about will be installed inside the Lok Sabha between 8:30 and 9 a.m. As per legal practice, 20 Mutt Masters from Tamil Nadu will be attending. Between 9 and 9:30 a.m., prayer meetings will take place. Many big scholars, including Shankaracharya, Pandits and saints will be there. The second phase will begin at 12 noon with the national anthem. The screening of two short films. Deputy Chairman Rajya Sabha Harivansh will read the message of the Vice President and the President. The Leader of the Opposition in the Rajya Sabha will also make an address. The Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla will also make a formal address. Coins and stamps, we are told, are going to be released on that day. The Prime Minister, who is inaugurating the new Lok Sabha, will then address Parliament and the nation. The program will finally conclude at 2:30 p.m. So it begins 7:30 in the morning and goes on till 2 in the afternoon. I want to go across to India Today's Aishwarya Paliwal, tracking all of these developments. A very detailed program this Sunday, Aishwarya, kicking off early in the morning, lots of ritual, lots of symbolism, and it ends only late in the afternoon.
Yes, Shiv, we all understand how important rituals are for the Bharatiya Janata Party and for the Prime Minister in particular. We have been seeing him over the past many years, Shiv, and we have seen how he's very particular about the way things should be done. And that's the reason why early in the morning, what we understand is that the priest and all, they will in fact reach early morning by about 6 o'clock. Everything will start by 7:30, and in the end, it will be the Prime Ministership by about 2:30 p.m. when he will be speaking, and then the new Parliament building will be open. From what we also understand, all the opposition parties have been invited so far. Shiv, however, almost 20 opposition parties at the moment are saying they will not be a part of this inauguration ceremony. But the Prime Minister and the BJP is all set. The program begins at 7:30 and will end by 2:30 on 28th of May. Shiv.
Aishwarya, keep tracking that. We'll keep coming back to you. Aishwarya will also be reporting on this on that big day this Sunday. Very, very packed schedule. Big symbolic day for Indian democracy with the new parliament being unveiled by the Prime Minister and the entire leadership of the country. Now let's tell you how after India Today's news break on this very show yesterday that has set the news agenda once again on the Senghol, that historic ornament which is going to be installed in the new parliament has become a big political flashpoint. It has triggered a fight. BJP launched a scathing attack at the Congress and called it Senghol versus opposition now. Here's why.
A golden symbol of India power, hidden for decades, put away in a corner. The ancient Chora relic will get pride of place in India's brand new parliament and will be installed by the Prime Minister next to the Speaker's chair. The Senghol makes a comeback on the 28th of May. But why was it forgotten all these years? It was India Today that first revealed that the Senghol, currently at Anand Bhavan Museum in Prayagraj, was described as a golden walking stick gifted to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, India's first Prime Minister.
There have been so many incidents, so many heroes and heroines unsung, so many untold milestones, which we never got to know about.
Absolutely.
When Kashi Sangamam happened, you knew the innate connect between the South and the North. Similarly, this tale of the Senghol reiterates the civilizational commonality and the civilizational connect we have.
Now the BJP has reacted to India Today's newsbreak and is attacking the Congress, slamming the party for what it calls its disdain for Hindus and Hindu rituals.
Not the personal property of Jawaharlal Nehru, that it should have been in the family museum. It is an instrument that symbolizes transfer of power. It is something that is intrinsic to India's history. It should have been in the parliament. Now, on the 28th of May, the Prime Minister will install it in the parliament and ensure that it is in the rightful place. Let's not reduce India to being Nehru Gandhi family's heirloom. We aren't. We are much larger than Nehru Gandhi Parivar.
हमने तो कांग्रेस के मित्रों से एक ही बात कहूंगा कि जो इतिहास आ रहा है तो सेंगोल की परंपरा से तो आपके नेता भी जुड़े रहे हैं जो पहले प्रधानमंत्री थे। इसकी सलाह राजगोपालाचारी जी ने दी थी जो गवर्नर जनरल थे। तो आइए उसी ऐतिहासिक धरोहर को देखने के लिए आ जाइए।
5 feet high with a Nandi bull on top, the Senghol was commissioned by Thiruvadurai Adinam, a Shaivite mutt which is over 500 years old in Tamil Nadu.
Any temple you visit in Tamil Nadu, a Shivan temple, you will see a Nandi. This must be at least 21 feet high, a magnificent structure over there, which is like adorned with bells, and even you could see that like a significant part of the tongue being outside, how the bulls keep their tongue outside, that is also being denoted.
Chennai-based jewellers Vumidi Bangaru Chetty, still popular in the city, crafted the Senghol. The jewellers are now happy that a historic wrong is being corrected.
This particular Senghol was actually mentioned to be the Prime Minister Nehru's walking stick. Is that so?
I don't know. I've seen photographs of it, but mistakes happen. That's what you and I are for, right? Media is there to correct it, and you have somebody else to see that it is restored to its past glory. So let's forget about it. It was kept safe and sound, and we are getting it back to its original prominence. That's what we are all about.
Till Wednesday, barely anyone knew about the Senghol. Now the old scepter will get an all-new meaning. Bureau Report, India Today.
A letter written by famous dancer Dr. Padma Subrahmanyam is what finally triggered Mission Senghol by the Prime Minister's office. I spoke to Dr. Padma Subrahmanyam just a short while ago. Here's what she told me. We're very privileged to be joined now by Dr. Padma Subrahmanyam. She's a famous dancer, well regarded, not just here in India, but all over the world. But she's in the headlines today and here on India Today now because she is the one who sent a translated copy of an article as a part of a letter that she wrote to the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi back in 2021 about the Senghol. She's the one who drew attention to the Senghol before the Prime Minister, triggering a chain reaction of events that have now resulted in that very Senghol, which is nestled safely in the Anand Bhavan Museum in Prayagraj, to be part of the new parliament that is being inaugurated a few days from now. Dr. Subrahmanyam, a pleasure, ma'am. Thank you very much for speaking to us. Your sentiments about the decision taken by the government to revive the Senghol, put it in parliament. But first tell us about how it all happened. What made you write that letter, ma'am?
Well, I feel extremely elated that I'm talking to your channel. It was an article in Tamil that came in Tughlaq magazine. And I was very attracted towards what was there in the content of the article. It was about the Senghol and how Kanchi Mahaswami had spoken about it to Mettur Swamigal, and then the whole thing has been retold in a book by Sri Subramanyam, who has written on Tevarams in 3 volumes, and he has quoted Kanchi Mahaswami with regard to the Senghol.
Yes.
The Senghol in the Tamil culture has great significance. The umbrella, the Senghol and the throne are the 3 objects which actually gives you the concept of the reigning power of the king. And the Senghol is a symbol of not only power, but it's a symbol of justice. And it is just not something which came to us from, say, 1,000 years from the later Cholas, but Senghol is mentioned even in the Tamil epic Silappadigaram.
Yes.
And it is mentioned with regard to the Chera king who by mistake gave an order to behead the hero, and it was a wrong judgment. And when Kannagi proves that he was wrong, he says, my Senghol has bent, and with that he also dies. So the Senghol is a symbol of justice, and it is something which has come down to us through the explanation we got from Kanchi Mahaswami.
Yes.
And revealed through this book on Tevarams by Subramanyam. And I was interested to know where this Senghol is, because it was said in that temple by Tughlaq, editor Gurumurthy, that the Senghol that was presented to our Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru was kept in Anand Bhavan in the birthplace of Panditji.
Yes.
And how did it go there? And what was the relationship between Nehru and this Senghol is also very interesting. When Mountbatten asked Mr. Nehru, how do we Britishers transfer the power? What is a symbol? What is a symbol that you have? Because there must be a symbol which helps you to understand it's a transfer of power. And Nehru didn't know how to answer. he asked Rajaji. Rajaji was a Tamilian, and he had definitely connection with, many thousands of years of Tamil history.
Yes.
He went to Kanchi Mahaswami for guidance, and Kanchi Mahaswami said, you must go to Tiruvavidurai Adinam, and they have been the Raja Gurus for the Cholas.
Yes.
And only the Raja Guru has to hand over the scepter to the king during coronation. And that is the transformation of power. And hence, it was decided that a new scepter would be made, and it was made to order at Mummadi Bangaru Chetty's sons. And Tiruvavidurai Adinam was sick, and he made his junior Swamigal fly to Delhi, and the scepter was given to Mountbatten. Mountbatten returned it to the Adinam.
Yes.
Then Adinam poured Ganga water on the scepter, and reciting the Tevaram, Kolari Padikam, which was composed by Jnana Sambandar, who was a child saint.
Yes.
It's made up of 11 stanzas, and in the last stanza it says that it is by order of God that you will rule perfectly. So this was the scepter that was handed over by the Adinam to Nehru. And I believe that this event somehow, though had a lot of publicity at that moment,
Yes.
unfortunately the scepter was not to be seen. It was out of sight, and even the extraordinary historic event was not coming to the public. It was not coming to light. And I was wondering, when we were celebrating the 75th year of our independence, I thought it would be a great idea to reenact this and somehow make this very historic event
Dr. Subrahmanyam,
more
did you
known,
think that your
more
letter would trigger this kind of action, though? You know, many people write letters to the Prime Minister. You, of course, are an illustrious figure. But did you think that it would come to this?
I was... Well, it came as a very big, pleasant surprise for me. It's a dream come true for me, because even during Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, this was not being brought to light. But it's a greater event now that a new parliament will house this scepter as a symbol of the power that was transformed from the British government to our government. And it will stand straight there, unbent. It will stand straight there, inspiring our members of parliament to be really serving the country.
And, taking off one final question, Dr. Subrahmanyam, it's amazing, and I have to admit this myself. Most people I spoke to, most of our viewers, I'm guessing as well, hadn't even heard the word Senghol until yesterday, when it was mentioned and is now in the headlines. And now everyone knows what the Senghol is. How do you feel about that? An important part of one of India's most important days, suddenly sort of receded into a dark corner of history, but now it's going to be front and center in Parliament, visible all the time.
Well, Senghol is well known by all the Tamilians.
Yes.
Though its significance went into oblivion because there is no monarchy now.
Yes.
But this concept of Senghol, I think, was there all over India. Not only in Tamil Nadu, as I said, in Kerala also, because Silappatikaram speaks about the Cheran king. And Chera was, Chera is the original Kerala. So there must have been this Dharma Danda all over India. But South has been more fortunate to preserve traditions and heritage due to obvious reasons.
Yeah.
I don't have to go into it.
Right, absolutely. Has been a great privilege hearing from you. Yes. Continue, ma'am.
You asked me whether I expected any
Yes.
good result from my letter to the PM. I'm more than, what would I say? I'm satiated. I'm so happy my dream has come true and it is turned into reality in a much better way. And it's going to be the scepter seen permanently
Yes.
in the massive, beautiful building that has come up as a pride of Bharat.
I not only congratulate you, Dr. Subrahmanyam, but also thank you from everyone watching, because it is thanks to your letter, your initiative, that the Senghol will find its pride of place back, in Parliament. In Parliament, it's going to be something that everyone's going to know. They will learn more as a result of it as well, and all of us, will be the wiser thanks to that letter that you wrote to the Prime Minister. Thank you very much, and congratulations, Dr. Subrahmanyam. Thank you.
Well, I'm a nationalist, and like the squirrel in the Ramayana, I have done my little mite.
Your little mite has resulted in a great action that's going to take place this Sunday. Thank you very much, Dr. Subrahmanyam, for speaking to India Today. Only 2 more days and the world gets to see the Senghol for real. Let's tell you a little bit more about the Senghol ceremony that's going to be held on the 28th of May. We've got more details now of precisely what that ceremony is actually going to look like. It's on the 28th. There is going to be... On Sunday, the Senghol will be brought to the Parliament House in a procession. India Today has learned from sources that this occasion will be replete with Tamil tradition. A group playing the Nadaswaram, which is a local wind instrument from the south, will lead the procession, and Prime Minister Modi is expected to walk along with them. Adinams, or priests from the Shaivite mutts in Tamil Nadu, are expected to be in the well of the Lok Sabha waiting for the arrival of the Senghol procession. As the Prime Minister greets the priests, the latter will purify the Senghol with holy water. In the backgrounds, Oduvars, or Tamil temple singers, will sing the Kolaru Padigam, while the Nadaswaram group will continue to play. After the holy ritual is performed, the Senghol will be handed over to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, as the Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla will be there as well. Prime Minister will then install the Senghol in the glass case next to the Speaker's podium in the new Parliament building, marking the beginning of a new era in India's democratic history. That's the good part of what's going to happen on Sunday. The dark side, of course, is the big opposition boycott. 19 parties have decided not to be part of the opening ceremony of India's new parliament, and that divide is only getting deeper. Full story and debate on the other side.
The heart of India's tech industry hosts a tectonic event. The latest updates in technology and innovation. The biggest names in Indian tech under one roof. From AI to 5G. From EVs to data security. Discover how technology is transforming our lives. Catch all the action at the BT Tech Today Congress in Bengaluru on June 2nd. Live across the Business Today multiverse.
quality today. In Delhi, 102. In Mumbai, 53. In Kolkata, 93. In Bangalore, 64. In Chennai, 85. In Hyderabad, 69. Quality today. In Delhi, 102. In Mumbai, 53. In Kolkata, 93. In Bangalore, 64. In Chennai, 85. In Hyderabad, 69.
Why does this
With 2 days left for the inauguration of India's brand new Parliament campus, at least 20 opposition parties have decided to boycott the event. They will not be there. Their main demand is for President Murmu to inaugurate the new Sansad, not the Prime Minister. Here's where things stand.
While India awaits the opening of the sprawling new parliament building, unparliamentary politics is raging over the ceremony that takes place on Sunday. Built at a cost of 900 crore rupees, the new parliament building can accommodate over 1,200 MPs. As Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates the new temple of democracy, more than 30% of the MPs will be missing from audience. At least 20 opposition parties, including the Congress, TMC, SP and DMK have decided to boycott the launch. They are insisting President Murmu should inaugurate the new parliament instead of Prime Minister Modi.
हमारी भूमिका है राष्ट्रपति को बुलाना चाहिए। राष्ट्रपति संसद की प्रमुख है, उनके आदेश से सत्र चलता है, उनके भाषण से सत्र चलता है। आप उनको नहीं बुला रहे, ये क्या बात है?
हम लोग ये नहीं चाहते हैं कि पार्लियामेंट का नया भवन उद्घाटन के नाम में मोदी अपना ड्रम बीट करे। हम तो चाहते हैं कि ये उद्घाटन राष्ट्रपति करे, क्योंकि वही देश के सबसे बड़ा हस्ती है।
The Modi government has hit back at the opposition, reminding them of how they had opposed Murmu in the elections that picked the first Adivasi president of the country.
Leaders belonging to these very same opposition parties spoke ill of her, abused her, said that she is going to be a rubber stamp, said that she doesn't represent any of what the country needs, and she is representing evil forces. It's surprising that the very same people who ran a bitter campaign, abusive campaign, are suddenly reminded about the president.
Amid the boycott calls, Prime Minister Modi, who returned from his tour of Japan, Australia and Papua New Guinea, took a veiled swipe at the opposition.
भारतीय समुदाय का जो कार्यक्रम था, वहां ऑस्ट्रेलिया के प्रधानमंत्री का आना गौरव की बात थी। लेकिन इतना ही नहीं, उस समारोह में पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री भी थे। उस समारोह में पूरी अपोजिशन पार्टी के मेंबर्स थे, रूलिंग पार्टी के मेंबर्स थे। ये लोकतंत्र का वातावरण ऑस्ट्रेलिया के लोग में भारतीयों के प्रति।
The Modi government has got a shot in the arm after the BJP's political rivals BJD, YSRCP, TDP and Akali Dal confirmed that they will attend the Parliament inaugural ceremony.
With days to go for the inauguration of the new Parliament building, we'll show you the facade from here. As you can see, that is the Ashok Stamp on top, which was earlier inaugurated by the Prime Minister, and now this entire new facade that looks like the Pentagon from the outside is going to be inaugurated on the 28th of May. A historic day, of course, being spoilt by opposition parties playing spoilsport over who should do its inauguration. With Pradeep Gupta in New Delhi, Milan Sharma for India Today.
And I'm joined now by representatives of two parties. The Trinamool Congress, one of 20 parties that have decided to boycott the event, the inauguration of the new parliament on Sunday. Riju Datta from the Trinamool representing, and Ravi Chandra Reddy is from the YSRCP, one of the parties that has decided not to boycott the ceremony on Sunday. Mr. Reddy, coming to you first, why has the YSRCP decided not to boycott the event on Sunday and to be part of the ceremony? Why have you decided to be there?
We have decided that in the spirit of democracy, it is a historic event. The historic monument, the new parliament building is going to be inaugurated. At the auspicious occasion and the time, you please see that the 75 years Azadi ka Amrit Mahotsav समय में जो इतना बड़ा उद्घाटन होने जा रहा है, इतना बड़ा उद्घाटन को हम डिस्प्यूट बनाना नहीं चाहते. The spirit of true democracy, we categorically announced through our Honorable Chief Minister, Sri Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy Garu, tweeted that we are going to participate in the inaugural ceremony of Parliament. And we are having large members. You know that 22 members of Lok Sabha,
yes,
about 10 members of Rajya Sabha we people are having on behalf of YSRC.
Yes.
So all of we are very much enthusiastic and eagerly waiting to the historic opportunity in the inaugural ceremony to be participated.
Okay,
we
so
have decided that we are going to participate.
Okay, so the YSRCP says that it is not a
dispute. We don't want to.
Understood,
comment
Mr. Reddy.
Historic occasion to
You're saying it's a historic occasion and it should be above politics. Riju,
Yes.
I don't want to get into the rules of the game. That is for the political parties to argue about whether the president or the prime minister should be there. But there is one view that a day like this should have been above politics. It should have been, about all members of parliament being there, all parties being there to celebrate an occasion of this kind together. There are times when walkouts and boycotts are significant and relevant and appropriate, during parliament sessions, etc. But on a day like this, how would you address that? I'm not getting into the politics of it. How would you address that, Riju?
This is 100%.
But my question is, who is making this event political? Pradhan Mantri Narendra Modi is the Prime Minister of India, but he's also the tallest leader of a political party. The president is the first citizen of this country. She holds the joint parliamentary session. Yesterday, she inaugurated a building in the Jharkhand High Court. And the president will inaugurate a building in the Jharkhand High Court and the Prime Minister will inaugurate the parliament. Who's making a mockery of this temple of democracy? 37% of representation of India has boycotted the inauguration of the temple of democracy. So BJP has made a mockery out of democracy.
Okay.
If Narendra Modi wouldn't have inaugurated, if the president wouldn't have inaugurated the parliament, there wouldn't have been any politics over it. We all would have welcomed it and we all would have celebrated this momentous occasion. Who has made it political?
Mr. Reddy,
who has made this political?
Mr. Reddy, the Trinamool, which is one of the parties that has decided to boycott, says that the Prime Minister has made this political and it has become a political issue because the Prime Minister has decided to inaugurate it. The YSRCP does not see a problem with that?
We don't see politics in this because this is about to be politics. This is a historic occasion after 75 years of independence. We are really constructed a historic monument in name of parliament. Why we have to boycott or we have to make an issue and entire world is observing India.
Mr. Reddy, sorry to interrupt you. I'm coming right back to you. Home Minister Amit Shah speaking in parliament. I'll come right back to our guests. Let's sort of listen into the Amit Shah.
इनको पूछना चाहता हूं, मेरे पास सार्वजनिक सूचनाओं से एकत्रित कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन है। मैं कांग्रेस पार्टी को पूछना चाहता हूं, छत्तीसगढ़ में विधानसभा का भूमि पूजन श्रीमती सोनिया गांधी, श्री राहुल गांधी और वहां के मुख्यमंत्री ने किया। उस वक्त राज्यपाल महोदया कहां थी? वो ट्राइबल थी, आपने नहीं बुलाया। झारखंड विधानसभा का भूमि पूजन श्री हेमंत सोरेन जी ने किया, उन्होंने भी राज्यपाल महोदय को नहीं बुलाया। असम में श्री तरुण गोगोई ने किया, उस वक्त भी राज्यपाल को नहीं बुलाया। मणिपुर विधानसभा का लोकार्पण श्रीमती सोनिया गांधी और डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह ने किया, राज्यपाल नहीं थे। आंध्र प्रदेश में चंद्रबाबू नायडू जी ने किया और तमिलनाडु में श्रीमती सोनिया गांधी और मनमोहन सिंह और मुख्यमंत्री ने किया। मैं आज कांग्रेस के मित्रों को पूछना चाहता हूं, जब आप करते हो तब ये सब कुछ ठीक होता है और जब भारतीय जनता पार्टी करती है, मोदी जी करते हैं, आपकी वक्र दृष्टि इसका बहिष्कार करती है। मैं आज आसाम की विराट जनसभा के माध्यम से समग्र देश को कहना चाहता हूं, आपके देश की जनता ने दो बार 2/3 बहुमत से नरेंद्र मोदी जी को चुनकर प्रधानमंत्री बनाया। ये देश की जनता का जनादेश, देश की जनता कांग्रेस की इच्छा पर निर्भर नहीं है, ये लोकतंत्र है। लोगों ने मोदी जी को चुनकर प्रधानमंत्री बनाया है, मगर एक कांग्रेस पार्टी और उनका राज परिवार प्रधानमंत्री जी को स्वीकारने के लिए 9 साल तक तैयार नहीं। देश के प्रधानमंत्री जी को संसद में बोलने नहीं देते। वो जब भी कोई कार्यक्रम करते हैं ये बहिष्कार करने जाते हैं। मैं आज कांग्रेस पार्टी के नेताओं को कहना चाहता हूं कि आपके बहिष्कार करने से कुछ नहीं होता। पूरे देश की जनता का आशीर्वाद नरेंद्र मोदी जी के साथ है, नरेंद्र मोदी जी के साथ। और पूरे देश की जनता चाहती है कि नए भारत के निर्माण में लोकतंत्र का मंदिर भी नया बने। नई संसद के अंदर नए भारत की रचना के लिए मनन हो, चिंतन हो, चर्चा हो, मगर आप तो प्रधानमंत्री जी को बोलने भी नहीं देते। और मैं आज कहना चाहता हूं कि आप जो कर रहे हैं ये भारत के 130 करोड़ लोग देख रहे हैं और अगले चुनाव में जब मैंडेट लेने जाएंगे, इस पक्ष विपक्ष का स्टेटस चला गया है, अगले बार इतनी भी सीटें नहीं आएगी और मोदी जी 300 से ज्यादा सीटों के साथ देश के प्रधानमंत्री बनकर तीसरी बार। ये नकारात्मक दृष्टिकोण, ये वक्र दृष्टि कभी देश का भला नहीं कर सकती। भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने हम विपक्ष में बैठे तब भी आपका सम्मान किया। कई साल सकारात्मक विपक्ष की भूमिका निभाई और दो बार पूर्ण बहुमत से चुनने के बाद भी आप देश के प्रधानमंत्री जी का सहयोग नहीं कर रहे हो, ये भारत की जनता के जनादेश का अपमान है। और जो दल कांग्रेस के साथ जुड़ गए हैं, मैं उनको भी कहना चाहता हूं कि कांग्रेस वालों के रास्ते पर चलोगे तो कांग्रेस जैसी ही स्थिति होगी, इससे अच्छी स्थिति नहीं। माताओं, भाइयों, बहनों, भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने अनेक प्रकार के काम असम के अंदर किए हैं। अभी सरकार जब बनी तब हमने वादा किया था असम की भाषा, असम की संस्कृति।
Okay, that was Home Minister Amit Shah's big message to the Congress and those boycotting. Mr. Reddy of the YSRCP, apologize for interrupting you. We had to cut across live to that. Complete your point, sir. Asking you, why do you not see what's happening as political on this day?
Purely and purely, this is the historical and monumental occasion. And in true spirit of democracy, each and every political party, member of parliament, it may be Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, who actually been invited should attend this function to grace this occasion in name of democracy. Because politics will be there for 365 days up to the election according to their flag and agenda. It doesn't matter. This criticization is not correct in our perception.
What would you say to the parties that are boycotting, sir?
Entire world is watching. Entire world is watching.
What would you say to the 20 parties that are boycotting? What would you say to the 20 parties that have decided to boycott?
We are not going to comment on their own party lines, and we are not in that position to comment.
Okay. Riju, final comment. Riju, final comment. After the boycott on the day of the inauguration, is that boycott going to continue into a parliament session as well?
See, we have boycotted the inauguration. In the new parliament, in the new session, obviously, we are going to raise questions which criticize the policies of the government. But last point I just want to make, in the meantime, before the inauguration, there is a petition that has been filed in the Supreme Court challenging this inauguration by the Prime Minister. So I believe the Supreme Court will also have its say. This is unconstitutional, and this is a blatant disrespect to Adivasis, tribals and the Dalits of this country. You just nominate a president and then you insult her by not inviting her for your own photo of your event management. It's a blatant disrespect to all the Adivasis in this country.
The biggest day for democracy is going to be one of the most divided. That's the state of play as far as our politics is concerned. We'll be there to report it from 7 in the morning. It's a packed day as far as the inauguration is concerned. And we on India Today always reflect all sides. We will have the opposition voices as well. Thank you, Mr. Reddy. Thank you, Mr. Datta, for being with me here on India Today. Up next is 6 p.m. Prime with Nabila. Days after the ban Bajrang Dal call, the Congress now threatens to ban the RSS in Karnataka. That's the big breaking story with Nabila next.
Global ride-hailing platform Uber has announced plans to go 100% emission-free in the next decade. The company will be switching its fleet to EVs globally. Andrew McDonald, SVP Business Operations and Mobility, was in India and spoke to BTTV's Akanksha Chaturvedi on how the company plans this and how it will cope with the infrastructure challenges in India.
India is a really important market for Uber. It's great to be here today. This was a great event. We're keenly aware of the challenges, and frankly, these are challenges all countries face as they seek to electrify their economies, right? We're launching now in India because we think the ecosystem is ready. We've got great partners that we announced today.